Barrick is a Canadian company that is traded in the New York Stock Exchange. As any company, it has the vision of being the best the best productive company of gold in the world. The developments are produced in a safe, profitable, and socially responsible manner. That means the responsibility of preserving the environment, consistent with the vision. We are facing now the Pascua-Lama project. We all know Pascua-Lama is in the mountain range, in the Andes range, in the borderline between Chile and Argentina, in San Juan province, Iglesias department, some kilometers from Veladero mine. So why is Pascua-Lama a binational project? Because the deposit itself is located between Chile and Argentina, with a distribution of gold and copper, 82% in Chile and 18% in Argentina, and silver, 63% in Chile and 37% in Argentina. In the lower part of the picture, we can see the distribution of gold mines. At the left is the distribution of gold, and at the right, the distribution of silver. This is the deposit, and in reference to the borderline. The crusher is at the side of the deposit. After going through the crusher, the ore material is conveyed through a conveyor belt through a 5 kilometers tunnel to the process plant that is located absolutely completely in the Argentinian side. At the end of the plant, there is a tailing dam. Here I show the protocol zone that was established after the treaty, and the protocol, the specific additional protocol. An access control is required. Access and leaving of all the machinery, people, and the heavy material, and through the entrance points that are located at each side of the border. This is the protocol area in Argentinian side. We can see the conveyor belt, the area of the process plant, the tailing dam area, and also the location of the camp called Los Amarillos. We see the environmental approval process that's been carried out both sides of the border from the year 2000. With the approval of the environmental impact study, and the declaration in Argentina and the study in Chile, the project has committed to update every 2 years. And that means that 10 years are required to finally announce the beginning of the construction. The project program considers starting the production end of 2012 with the first mineral run in the first of the 3 production lines in the first quarter of 2013. The initial mobilization of the project will have happened already the third quarter of last year in the camp Los Amarillos, and that camp will be available from now to the end of the year. Electric energy, the power, which should be available third quarter of the next year. The project shows many challenges that can be and are already being overcome, starting with the height 3,800 meters over the sea level, up to 5,200 meters over the sea level. And at the height, the climate conditions that exist are too extreme. The winters are very severe, very harsh winters with average temperatures of minus 20 degrees Celsius. These temperatures are combined with high winds, strong winds, with the feeling, the real feel that is much lower than that temperature. Given the very harsh conditions, this implies a big challenge for logistics and access of workers, material and machinery to the work site, as well as challenge also in these conditions for everything that is required for construction, all the supplies required, and to put in operation a process plant as we are doing. But all these challenges are overcome, always taking into account the approach of safety for the staff, for the personnel, and safety for the environment and protection to the environment, with a good planning and good project execution, hand in hand with technology and adequate training of the personnel. Project access control is in Tucuy through the mining road, arriving to the control position, the borderline control position, where we enter to the protocol area. The same thing in the Chilean side. There is a logistics center at Vallenar, where you can take the San Felix road towards the access control at Pascua. Bypasses have been designed in Iglesia and Las Flores zone not to affect the communities with the transportation of assembled parts that go to the mine. This is the road leaving Tutcum. First goes through this road, arriving to Conconta Pass, and 110 kilometers to arrive to Lama. Then goes to the Valle del Cura, 85 kilometers from Lama, and then ends up in Portezuelo de los Despoblados, 35 kilometers from Lama. We have to talk about Barrick culture, about safety and health. This defines how the project is going to be carried out in the field. It is required that every person coming back to home, coming back home, will arrive safe, and there is no work that is worthwhile doing unsafely. No work is worthwhile doing it unsafely. So to be able to get the zero accidents, besides the vision, the philosophy, the policy, and the values of Barrick, leadership is also required. The personal leadership of each one of the workers to have the courage not to accept doing work that they consider unsafe, and inform them to the supervisors. In other words, to demonstrate behavior, demonstrating the safe behavior of the work. Besides safety and health, Barrick has also taken environmental commitments using the environmental policy, the corporate environmental policy, establishing a strategic plan that includes an integrated plan of permits in both countries, using and maintaining multidisciplinary technical teams integrated, orientated to the area of permits to obtain the permits and follow them up until the compliance of the commitments. Also, internal and external audits are held to ensure the honoring of the commitment. Barrick has made the commitment of getting different international certifications. Let's see now the plant. How does the process work? The beginning of the activity starts with primary crushing and ore haulage through the tunnel by means of the conveyor belt that conveys it to the process plant. At the crusher, the trucks download the ore they bring from the deposit. The ore is crushed and deposited in the conveyor belt in the underground facilities. The discharge raise has 80 meters deep. The underground facilities have an access system and adequate ventilation. The conveyor belt runs inside a tunnel. Ore arrives to the Argentinian side, downloading from the conveyor belt to the process plant. The process plant is an important facility that takes 1,000 meters long times 800 meters wide. In these facilities, the ore is processed until reaching the so-called doré metal. To evidence the magnitude of the process plant, we show here his shadow over the city of San Juan. So people from San Juan can imagine the size of the plant, putting it over the city like a shadow. It's 14 blocks times 4 or 5 blocks wide. Next, we show one of the most important parts of the process plant. The image corresponds to the building for piling of the ore, a structure with concrete foundations. It's reinforced concrete foundations and a metallic closed cover. It's the biggest building, 200 meters times 70 meters wide, 50 meters high. 50 meters height. The pebbles mill, which function is to break the rock and to mill to grind the rock that was not processed in the secondary milling stage. The grinding building contains 3 mills that grind the ore, converting it into a fine dust. At this stage, the ore is processed. The grinded ore is processed. It's wet and mixed with the reagents that allow to separate its components. Neutralization. It corresponds to the dosing and mixture of the tailings with neutralizing elements like lime and limestones to calculate the reactions and to continue the process to extract other metals. Leaching tanks. That corresponds to another processing system for ore processing, where the ore components are separated through leaching with sodium cyanide by agitation, by stirring in vats. Barrill-Crowe system is the steering system in the process. In this area, the elaborated product is handled, submitting it to the smelting process to make the doré metal ingots. Once the useful content is extracted from the tailings, before transporting them to the tailing dam, they are submitted to a process to destroy the cyanide to achieve the compliance of the admitted levels. The ore in process is handled as a dense fluid transported through all the stages in a tubing system that distributes the fluid by pumping and using the gravity, taking advantage of the natural differences of elevation of the site. In the same process, there is an area for preparation and management of lime and limestones that are added to regulate the action of the reagents used. The supply of electric power is through the line that comes from Chile, supplied from the interconnected system, from the national interconnected system, with the contribution of our own generation by means of hydro generators and thermal generators that will supply the demand both in Argentina and in Chile. Let's see the present constructions. In Albardón, Route 40, these facilities will be used to pre-assemble metallic structures and pre-manufacture and precast the concrete in a more favorable environment than in the project, limiting the need to have workers in Lama. Structures, modular structures, will be assembled and transported through the roads to assemble them, forming the structures needed. The amounts that will be managed in Albardón are 20,000 cubic meters of concrete, 3,500 tons of reinforcement iron, 7,300 tons of metal structures. Almost 1 million man-hours will be worked, and that means 500 people directly involved, directly employed for construction. Maximum size of the load, of the payload that leaves Albardón is 5 meters times 5 meters times 20 meters long. That's maximum size to be transported. In the same yard for pre-assembly located at Albardón, one sector will be devoted to the construction of the offices and the training rooms, 160 people capacity for training rooms. This facility fulfills the control, the administrative control, the logistic control, and the control of the load coming to operations. The camp will have the capacity and the comfort to lodge the workers that will participate and that participate now during the construction and later operation of the project. The assembly of the modules in Chile and Argentina of a construction stage considers to commission more than 1,000 yards and was having potable water plants, effluent treatment plants, energy provision, and fire protection system. In the process plant area, the construction of the main facilities has started, giving priority to some of them that will be used during the construction period, and they already started, they have been awarded or in the process to be awarded to national companies. The dam will store the resulting tailings of the productive process. It's formed by a gravity dam with stones and rocks coming from the same place. We see the border, the limit of the tailing dam, the initial dam in red and the final one in blue, and the bypass of Rio Turbio that's done with underground pipelines. The tailing dam is designed with multiple barriers to ensure there is no leakage to the environment, no discharge. It also has a continuous monitoring system to verify this and to detect at any moment if there is a discharge, to take immediate action and solve the problem. All these layers contain a layer of geomembrane, polyethylene geomembrane, and it's high density polyethylene that is absolutely waterproof and using thermofusion welding systems. And finally, after living through the development of Veladero, we use it as a learning school. It is clear that what's required from the environment is absolutely defined. zero discharge to the environment. The different access to the project have been established through logistic centers. Barrick conducts the project through its own staff that's well experienced, and in these cases the purpose is to achieve alignment and integration with the contractors. The field is quite adverse, and all working systems were designed to be adapted to these work conditions. Emphasis being taken in the recruitment and training of the construction, operation and maintenance staff. In reality, this is a great engineering challenge that has been taken forward. I'm proud of being part of this project. This project would contributes to the growth of the country and also the province in which we are. Thank you very much.